Hello, welcome to Punch Fear in the Face. My name's Shannon, and I am here today to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart. Actually, it's been a philosophy that I adopted a long time ago. And when I was trying to think of examples for this episode, I was having a hard time because, well, you'll see what I mean. So, today's episode is there's something about that person I really don't like about myself. Yes, if you meet somebody and they rub you the wrong way, I implore you to take a good look at yourself because I have found that is the case a lot of the times. And what I was saying, I wanted to give you examples, but because I've adopted that philosophy so many years ago, that every time I'm annoyed or don't like somebody or I'm resentful in some way, I take a good hard look. I take a good hard look because if you are truly okay with who you are, and you have truly forgiven yourself, and we're going to talk about that, the power of forgiveness, because it's not about forgiving other people. Fuck other people. It doesn't matter. It's forgiving yourself for letting people piss you off or do whatever. You're mad at yourself, really. So, when you don't like somebody, you got to take a serious look. So, I have a couple examples I want to share with you. So, just recently, my husband watches that show Shrinking with Harrison Ford about the psychiatrist. That's not my kind of show. I don't like sitcoms really, but it was on in the background and I had to leave the room. I had to leave the room because there's a character on that show and she made me cringe terribly. Now, because there's something about that person I don't like about myself. And if you know me and if you know that show, you already know who the fuck I'm talking about. Okay. She plays a neighbor or something. I don't know. I couldn't even watch it. She's just like, ooh, there's something about that person I don't like about myself. And it's okay at this age, I can accept a few things about myself, but it's still hard to watch. I don't want to, she reminds me of me. She's in everyone's business. She speaks before she thinks. She's kind of annoying, right? God bless her, I guess, right? That's what I try to tell myself. God bless me. Anyway, that's an example. You sometimes see that and you have to kind of take a serious look. And then I was trying to think of a time when I've been resentful. And thing is, I've let go of a lot of my resentments. I mean, I can say I don't have any, I don't hold any. I've let them go. And that's so, so, so important. You always hear about the power of forgiveness. Oh God, but it's true. But what I'm here to tell you, it's not about forgiving other people because you need to look at those other people as your teachers and then look at yourself because you're probably mad at yourself. Now, let's say there is somebody out there, like, for example, I don't like people who are passive aggressive. And in that situation, I don't think there's something about that person I don't like about myself. I think that because there's nothing passive about my aggression. Okay. So passive aggressiveness, oh God, I can't stand it. It it pushes me away because of that. So that's an example. So, but then I go into resentment if somebody's being passive aggressive towards me. Right. Because I'm like, what a fucking bitch or what an asshole is passive aggressive. Just say what's on your mind. I mean, I'm empathic. So I can already tell you're in a bad mood. Or I can already tell you're pissed off about something. I mean, I already know. So you may as well just fucking say it. I'd rather just, you know, so, but I get resentful because I'm the one that doesn't say anything. It happens all the time. Somebody's being passive aggressive towards me and I don't address it. And what you should really say is there something wrong? Okay, is there something you want to talk about? And usually by that point, I'm already a bitch about it. Like I usually let it go, let it go, let it go. And then I'll just lose it. And I've talked about that I'm not proud of myself for that. Um, because really what I should be doing in the moment is we should all be aware in the moment of how we're feeling and how we're reacting to something. Because it's guaranteed that if you're having a bad reaction to something or somebody, it has to do with you and your ego and how you feel about yourself and if you've forgiven yourself or not. So I was thinking of another example. I did the most recent resentments I had was an old friend and she worked for me for a while. See, that's never a good idea, right? And I love her, I've completely forgiven her and all that, but because that's what I it's so important. But I had to forgive myself because I set it up a certain way, and that was on me. And then I didn't express my feelings in a healthy way, totally on me. And then I'd blow up and be really awful, and that's definitely on me. And it's all on me. It's all on me. So there's nothing for me to be resentful for. It's just I just for myself, and you have to forgive yourself and vow to do better moving forward, and being aware of these things. And I thought of another example of where this was actually this is when it hit me. It was about 20 years ago, because this is a philosophy I've been working with for 20 years. Like, something about that person I don't like about myself, take a close look, But I would say I have stepchildren, and in the early really of our relationship, they were very young, 4 and 5. They're older now. They're very old now, 31 and 29. But anyway, I had a lot of resentment towards the biological mother. And then and and I realized then, when I took care of my shit as a parent, I I no longer had any resentments. I had nothing but sort of love, and just I cared about. I don't know, I just let it all go, because I realized I was judging her parenting, right? But was I? No. There was something about that person I didn't like about myself, right? Holding this high parenting mark, whatever. And I had to really look at that and work on myself. And when I got to a place where I was proud of myself as a parent, and I was sober for a long time, that was a big part of it. And I know I've promised an episode about addiction and sobriety, and I'm not sober now. So, and a full disclaimer, don't do as I do as I say. Anyway, that's a whole other episode before us. But anyway, I noticed when I got sober, I stopped judging other people. Um, I didn't care. It didn't, to each his own. And honestly, that's how you need to go through life, to each his own. Because if you're truly happy with yourself and okay with yourself, then to each his own, you know? So, so that was an example that comes to mind. And then, of course, I always think, like, a lot of people hate our president, Donald Trump. Okay. And, you know, probably because, let's face it, the dude says whatever he wants, right? I mean, the dude he just speaks diarrhea of the brain, and he does whatever he wants, and he doesn't have any repercussions for anything he does. So of course we hate him, because that's what we wish we could do. Come on, deep down inside. Yeah, we wish we were rich and ran the world, right? And just like had our own agenda and did whatever we want and said whatever we wanted. I mean, that's the ultimate freedom. So, of course, there's things not to like about that. I mean, I'm going to say that there is, a true narcissist, and believe it or not, okay, if you look at that kind of thing from a woo-woo standpoint, from standing back, uh, people like our president are sent down here to be a narcissist, and he's sent down here to be a disruptor. He's doing his job. He really is. He definitely is doing his job as a disruptor. And there's reasons for that I'm not going to get into, but that's who he is. And I think we hate him for it because, come on, right? Like, let's just be honest. Like, wouldn't it be great to just be a narcissist? Anyway, but most of us aren't a narcissist, and most of us are empathetic, and we do care about the planet. We do care about our family and friends. And we know that being of service actually does fill our spirit. So we choose to not be vile, and we choose to try to be a good person. And sometimes we succeed and sometimes we don't. But we just keep trying and going through life, looking at your reaction to people and things. I read a book once called The Disappearing Universe. It was a weird book, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the author. It was a big book too. It was a big book, long book. I'm going to boil it down to one sentence, because that's really what this book came down to. You have two choices in life, right? You judge or you forgive. You judge or you forgive in every situation. And that's interesting if you boil it down to that, right? So let's just say, like, someone cuts you off on the street. We're funny about our road rage. And that's an interesting topic, the humanness behind road rage, of being in your car and you're on edge because you're driving and someone cuts you off. You're immediately like, fuck you, you asshole. It's just like, so, I mean, so we judge that person. Oh, that person's an asshole, like, just taking over the road. They think they own the road. Or you're like, oh, I forgive you. It happens. You know what? I have accidentally cut off people many times. I mean, it happens. Um, So it's how you react to it, right? So you do you judge that person or immediately forgive that person? And I know that's just an example of traffic. Like if you've really been hard done to, really hard done to. I mean, let's say you really had an asshole narcissist do you over. Yeah, you if you think about it, you're mad at yourself. You let it happen. You let it happen. So that person doesn't matter. That person's a piece of shit. That person's not who you want to be. Or maybe that person you're jealous. Maybe it is somebody you want to be like. Either way, the point is, what is the point? The point is, and how does this relate to punching fear in the face? It's really punching resentment in the face because, we have to get over all our resentments. And usually, most of my resentments are towards me for letting myself get resentful to those people in my life who really have been teachers and who really, if I break it down, there's something about that person I don't like about myself and it affects my ego, And everybody is fragile in different ways, right? You could tell me, like for example, the character on Shrinking. Like you could tell me, oh, she reminds me of you. And I would not be hurt by that because I know she does. And I've accepted that about myself, right? Know thyself and either change thyself or accept thyself. Two choices. Judge or forgive, right? Two choices. So, like, if you told me that I reminded you of her, I'd be like, "Thank you," or no, I wouldn't say thank you. I don't know what, but whatever. I wouldn't be hurt. But if you touched on one of my insecurities, and I think I've mentioned them here, like, I guess, like, if someone called me lazy, I think that would be an insecurity because I'm not. Literally, I'm not lazy. I assure you, I'm not lazy. What is that? That's just my weird anxiety about, needing to be productive all the time. And then there's the areas where I feel pretty secure. Like you could say I was bad with money. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm good with money. I know I'm good with money. So like I'm secure in that. But then you could say you're a stupid pothead. And I'd be like, no, I'm not. Well, maybe a little bit, but don't judge me. Forgive me. Know thyself, love thyself, accept thyself, forgive thyself. Stop judging thyself. Judge that you will become. I don't know why I always say that. I don't know if it's in the Bible because I can't read the Bible. I find it to be very boring, to be honest with you. So I start to read it and I don't get it. I don't get it. But I don't even know if that's in the Bible. Judge that you will become. I don't know, but it's true. You got to be careful when you're judging something. It's because you're scared that you're going to become that. So I got to give you an example because you gotta have an example. So, well, yeah. So when I was judging my baby mama, it was because I was scared that I would be like that or become, there's an aspect of a personality maybe that I was worried about myself, not about, it had nothing to do with her. So, um, but it was hard to come up with examples because I've had that philosophy for a long time. So I get to the resentments right away, and I look at myself and try to reflect back what's going on with me and my ego. The ego is a tough one because your ego is your amigo. You need you need your ego, but where's that line? And I talk about it all the time. I'm not here to tell you where that line is because I don't know. No one does. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Next time you feel yourself getting a little annoyed or a little peeved with somebody, stop for a moment and say, there's something about that person I don't like about myself. And then choose to judge or forgive, right? And there you go. That's it for today. And until then, remember, punch fear in the face and judge that you will become. Namaste.